Oh, man. So they bought this shit from one of your vendors, and that's how they got all that personal stuff.
Crazy, right?
Oh, my God. So there's something that must have made you cringe when you saw the damn series.
I have not watched them yet.
You haven't watched it?
No.
Okay. All right, my guest today is very outspoken. I think it's going to be hard for him to actually sit through a 30-second monologue without chiming in. So Billy, your ears might be burning, and you're going to be like, you know, I start off, Billy, with a monologue typically that's not necessarily about the guest himself. And you know, when I looked at your story and I knew about your story, it just got me thinking, you know, as a venture capitalist, what I've learned over the last couple of years. Okay, I had an exit from an insurance company. I built an insurance company for my kitchen table. I sold it into private equity, tried to retire, and decided, you know what, I'm going to be an early stage VC, and I'm going to do this angel investing. And you know, little did I know, most people are, writing $25,000 checks. I'm writing freaking 7-figure checks and $250,000 checks. Oh, a lot of these aren't going to work out. Did we mention that to you? But they all sound like such good ideas. And, you know, it's fine with the founders that I got in early that knew, you know, that did everything they could. They screamed from the top of the mountain. They wanted their idea to work, and they believed that it would. But there's some of these other deals that I'm in, man, where it's like, this motherfucker is reckless. Like, dude, he has no business running a fucking company. You know, he's either delusional or just lying. What's he doing with this money? And I'm thinking maybe it's to pay their rent. I don't freaking know. But, you know, in the age of social media, you could look at people. Are you doing everything you can to promote this right now, motherfucker? All right, because you just blasted through $150,000 of mine, and the company's about to go out of fucking business, and I haven't seen one post about it. So, like, how committed are you to this shit? You know? So what I've really learned over the last couple of years, really, I should say in that first 6 months that I got into venture capital, is we're not all wired the same. You know, I'm the type that sees an idea, I'm going to execute that mother and get this shit done. And I just assume that if founders are out there trying to raise money from other people, they have that same heart. Because the last thing I would ever do is go ask somebody for money if I didn't know this shit was going to work. Okay, that's the last thing I would do. But we're all wired different, man. We're all wired different. And guys, you know, I'm going to talk now about Fyre and the Fyre Festival, which is what Billy McFarland, our guest today, is infamous from. And he's been accused of everything I just said and worse, I'm sure, probably a lot worse. That was pretty nice what I just said, considering what he's been alleged against him, at least. And, you know, I saw the Fyre Festival thing, the whole special, so a couple years ago now, and I knew we were having this interview today. I didn't go back and rewatch it because, you know, it's like the game of telephone. What's real? What do you remember? What does everyone think they know? I could tell you right now, Billy wasn't shying away from this interview. I told him if he comes on, we're talking about Fyre Festival, and he was like, let's do it. This will be great. So, you know, there's probably a lot of shit out there that's not true. I'll be the first to admit, especially in the media. You will write something on Instagram about me. Somebody says something. Now I'm defending something that has no truth to it whatsoever. It's like, how do you even defend? The sky is green. How do you defend it? No, it's not. You know what I mean? How do you defend these when someone's just blatantly lying? So we'll give Billy a chance to kind of talk about this. But real briefly, for those that aren't familiar, or maybe you forgot and you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that guy. There was Billy and Ja Rule. And Billy, I'm going to get a chance for you to correct any of the details here that I have wrong, because, again, I did not refresh myself intentionally. Billy had a company that he started, and the idea behind it was to get, you know, artists to easily book them. So instead of going through all these different, you know, promoters and middlemen, okay, here's an app. We're going to go, Ja Rule, I want you to perform in my event. And Ja Rule's price is whatever it is, and have all these artists on it. And Billy had the idea of, you know, it sounds like a great idea. Maybe you should have just stuck with that, Billy, by the way. Just stick with the actual app itself. But to get it off the ground, he had this big promotion. And he billed it as this freaking like Coachella Lollapalooza kind of thing in the Bahamas. and it was a freaking disaster. And he had egg on his face, and he saw it through till the end. Had freaking 20-year-olds coming over thinking they're getting this VIP experience, and they're like freaking sleeping in mud and walking through piss. There's no food. The VIP experience, here's a bottle of water, go sleep in that tent. We'll leave it there. Hopefully that rings a bell for everyone. Billy McFarland, welcome to 2000% Raise.
Wow, quite the monologue. Let's go. And just so you guys know, I posted on Twitter last night saying Fyre Festival 2 is finally happening. And I think I've enraged half of the internet. So it's been quite the morning for me and quite the time to be here.
We might have to push this episode up then if you're out there right now. And you know, you saying that, Billy, it kind of reminds me of almost a little Jordan Belfort-esque a little bit. He was notorious for what he did, but he's out there in social media land where people are supporting him. You saying that you're going to do another thing like this, the fact you wouldn't do it if you didn't have any support. So there's support going from someone. So what I do want to get into how the heck you were able to get over this adversity and still raise money, because we do have a lot of entrepreneurs out there. But why don't we start from the beginning, man? Okay, first of all, how did you get Ja Rule to participate with you? I feel like that was all your credibility, getting Ja Rule on your team in the first place, right?
I had a credit card company in the years before Fyre, and my target customers were young 20-something-year-olds in New York City and other major cities.
Yep.
The credit card became like a really fun vehicle for me to do everything my 15-year-old self wish he could, but just like didn't know how to do. And growing up in the suburbs of New Jersey, like a rap was the one thing that was totally inaccessible to me. I'm like, damn, I have this credit card company now, and like I have a couple bucks, and maybe I can book some rappers and justify it as a promotional stunt for customers. So went on this spree of booking like 24 rappers over a couple of years. And throughout that process, just realized how opaque and antiquated the entire booking industry was, where I was going through all these middlemen, I was being lied to, I was paying the wrong person. It just made no sense that, you know, some tech idiot like me who had 10 grand, I should be able to get in touch with these rappers who need this revenue, who need these shows. And so the idea of Fyre was spawned.
Well, and it's an awesome idea, man. And I've experienced, we had Ray Leonard Jr. on the show before, and me and him talked about this. I talked about how I was a promoter when I was in college back when it was hard to be a promoter before there was any social media. You actually had to like have a talent to it. And I tried to book a concert with doing old school, bring a Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock out, and I paid the wrong people 11 grand. I don't think Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock even knew that they had 11 grand. They ain't never getting that back. And it was so funny because all I wanted to do, I'm like you, man, I just want to hang out with these guys. I don't really care. But then Fyre's born, and how did you get? Okay, so did you approach it as a founder, where hey, this is the infrastructure. Hey, Ja Rule, I'm not going to give you just advisory. Let's put you on the founding side of this table. You're going to get 30% of the company or whatever you guys worked out, and you got to scream from the top of the mountains with me on this.
Yeah, so I got really frustrated when I was trying to book him for that Magnises party, and we sat at the event and everything was wrong. Like the number I paid was not what he was told. All the details were conveyed incorrectly, or like, wow, this makes no sense. So it took a couple of years for us to like get to know each other, work on little Magnises projects together. Then eventually it's like, all right, it's time. Like we need to build a tech platform that fixes the entire problem that we're having with all these like people in the music industry.
Nice. And he seems like I had the opportunity actually to meet him once randomly. He did this party, my friend's 40th birthday. It was in the suburbs of Chicago during COVID, and TMZ actually got a hold of it, and they said, Ja Rule does party for a bunch of rich white folk with a maskless party for a bunch of rich white folk. But I'll tell you what, though, I talked to him at that party, and he just seemed like just a good dude that's super approachable. Was that your experience with him?
Very charismatic, and definitely a good salesman too, for sure.
Yeah. Now is he? Does he still talk to you, or is he like, get the fuck away from me?
I've called him out to a charity MMA fight to pay back the Bahamas, and he's been ducking me.
I was gonna say, Ja Rule's pressing the ignore button every time Billy calls. He's like, oh, this motherfucker. So advance now, okay? If I remember correctly, by the way, I'm a big Bahamas guy, buddy. I go to that. For somebody that doesn't live there from the Midwest, I would say I've been to the Bahamas in the last 15 years as much as anybody, okay? I'm talking 5 to 10 times a year on average, all right? I love it there. Anyone that knows anything about the Bahamian government, dude, they're very proud of their culture there. They they don't, even at the casinos, they don't want any kind of, they don't want any kind of perception that there's anything drug related, anything like anything money laundering related. And they pride themselves on this shit. It feels very safe when you're there.
Yeah.
So Billy, you know, your venue, they tell you not to do this shit. Your promotions come out for the damn thing. And the first promotion that comes out says the original home of Pablo Escobar, when they told you not to do this. Was this the beginning of the domino effect? And did it happen that way?
Yes, there was an amazing island called Norman's Key that we had been using to host all of the lead up and marketing for the Fyre Festival. And then we created this like amazing video. We had no idea what we were doing. We had no idea if we were even doing a festival. And the video goes live, and we thought the history of the island was like such an incredible part of telling the story.
Yep.
And that ruined it all.
Okay. Yeah. But they had told you don't do it, correct? And you guys were like, fuck you, Bahamas. I mean, come on, dude. They're a country.
It was wrong. It was wrong to mention the history.
Yeah.
I was 24. I was lost in the sauce. I'm like, wait, so you're telling me like Buccaneer the Pirate or Blackbeard the Pirate, then Pablo Escobar, and now it's us? Like, this is so cool. I realize that makes no sense.
Okay, so you just said something. So you were 24 at the time. How old are you now?
I'm 31 now. So
okay, so 7 years ago this was now. Okay, all right.
7 years ago we announced it almost.
Wow,
yeah, so it's been crazy.
Wow.
Well, it's a 6-year anniversary of the festival, like now, April. So should
listen though, but this is kind of what I was going with earlier in my monologue about how entrepreneurs have this ideology where they could rationalize things in their head and like stretch things. Okay. And from what I've been told, even though the Bahamas said don't market it as Pablo Escobar's home or whatever, like I've heard that was bullshit anyway. Like he didn't even really live there. Is that even like, what's the story behind that?
So I guess it was his right-hand man, a guy named Carlos Slater, who was featured in that movie Below with Johnny Depp. So Carlos Slater ran Norman's Key for a number of years. And remnants of his famous house, which is shaped like a volcano, still exists there. So it's kind of like to run through.
Gotcha. But, you know, word to the wise there, right? That like a lesson, because you didn't need to say that. No. And then they pulled that venue on you. You ain't doing it here.
Just
right?
Zero ability to comprehend risk versus reward. Like at the end of the day, no one's going to say, you know what, I'm not coming because they didn't mention Pablo Escobar. But a lot of people are going to be like, you can't do this because you mentioned him. So just
I don't think there was a bunch of like 25-year-olds in Miami that were like, oh, it's Pablo Escobar's home. Like ecstasy is going to be free. Like nobody was thinking that.
Yeah. How do you not say that? Like we're not coming now. Like,
dude, that's freaking hilarious. Okay. So then the Bahamas, all right, they pull the venue from you. F you ain't doing it here. But you kept proceeding business as usual. And walk us through what the hell was going through your head at that point.
So the owner of Norman's Key was the one who basically told us, you are no longer welcome on my island.
Okay.
And that was very hard because like our entire strategy had been for Norman's Key. And this is now like late December of 2016.
Oh, and let me just point out then, so people that don't know, Bahamas is made up of about 900 islands. And just by the way you answered that, Billy, so I'm assuming this was a private island that one person owned?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so the owner of the island was the one who basically banned us from there. And we now have less than 4 months until our promised festival date. So we went like a mad scramble of trying to find a location. But literally 4 months ago, thousands of tickets sold across 2 weekends, X dozens of artists paid. And it was like, holy shit, like, how can we make this happen?
And then give us an idea of some of the artists that you had on the bill.
So the headliners, it was a mix. So the headliners were Good Music, which was Kanye West's record label. So I had 5 or 6 artists from there. DJ Major Lazer, Blink-182, Migos, Race Remord, like all across the board, all types of music from pop to DJs to hip hop and rap.
And by the time it came up, how many were still, because Blink-182, I think, tweeted out like 2 days prior that they're out, right?
Yeah, so they were the only one to actually cancel. I think there's been a lot of rumors based on that. And it was literally the week of the festival. I'm not sure exactly how many days, but the rest of them, we were like on the calls with, they were either there or flying in. And it was a game time decision to cancel the event, day up. So wild experience and just like so many terrible management decisions along the way.
So this is so telling. Okay, I didn't realize you're only 24, and I do remember your success with that credit card. You're in Manhattan. You know, it became like the cool kid thing to have that credit card, right? So you got your chest is puffed out. You're thinking you could accomplish anything at this point, right? Okay, so you didn't have it in you, or would it be smart? Would it be accurate to say you didn't have the maturity level to hit the brakes and tell all your investors we're fucked? Sorry, like let's try to force this square peg through a round hole.
100%. Like, I think when I was young and naive and just didn't realize that there are so many more important things going on in the world than this music festival. Yeah, it's like this festival is do or die.
Yeah.
Far in that I just need to make this work. In reality, if I had canceled it a month or two before, people would have lost, but it would have been okay in a certain way, rather than starting to lie and just like do whatever it took and make things go too far.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Glencrest Global. Glencrest Global is a Chicago and Los Angeles-based venture capital firm that is involved in interesting companies with interesting founders. To see some of Glencrest Global's investments, visit glencrestglobal.com. How much before shit went south? How much money did you raise? And was it like an official seed round or a Series A round, or was this just all friends and family, people you knew?
So raised a seed round to start. And then it got to the point where I was like literally raising a seed round every single day. I'd wake up and then I had someone put together a spreadsheet telling me how much money we needed that day. And like, I'd raise that money every single day. So it could be $100,000, it could be $4 million. And like, I'd have until 2:00 to get the money in, and we had until 4:00 to wire it out. So there was a 3-week stretch where we literally raised a seed round 5 days a week for 3 weeks straight. Which is wild.
And then did people just trust you at that point, Billy? Because you probably didn't have the ability to legally do it right with lawyers and write up the documents, right? You were just doing it on the arm, or what?
I think the most fucked up part is that I had a number of investors who had backed me since I was 19. So they had no reason to question me when I said like, hey, we have to re-up. This is really, really important. And they were doing it. And I think like the violation of that trust is what has eaten me alive the most since everything has happened.
Well, and it reminds, and that's the part really where you lost me, right? You're this charismatic guy, okay? But I've been in positions right now where it's like people are calling me a frickin' for bridge loans because I'm in their frickin', in their seed, and they want to do a bridge to their Series A. And it's like, dude, this is a sinking effing ship. Okay. Now, it might not be a 4 p.m. kind of thing at 11 a.m., but it might be like, dude, you want me to bridge you for this next payroll? What are we bridging ourselves to? An extra week before we go bankrupt? Why the fuck like entrepreneurs get it in their freaking heads when they're raising money that all of us venture capitalists are like billionaires with, like, trust me, dude. I don't want to lose 150 fucking grand. Okay. It'll bother me. All right. I'm not saying I'm a billionaire, but no one's trying to do that shit. And it's funny though, once you say yes to an entrepreneur as a VC for something like that, you become the guy. You become their freaking first fucking phone call. And I had a couple that I've learned the hard way, and you know what I mean? Knowing what I know now, never in a million years. And Billy, I mean, does that bother you, man? Like, seriously, you're taking money. I think there was a woman you kept going to, I believe, correct?
Yeah, I think it bothers me a ton. And just lose sight of what's important, right?
But you had to have known when you were making those phone calls. Now, you were involved in that documentary on Netflix, so I'm assuming, did they do that with you? Because they had footage from your cameras, correct?
I was not involved in the Netflix documentary, actually. They had bought the footage from a company we'd hired for a number of weekends to film.
Oh, shit. Really? They bought this shit from one of your vendors, and that's how they got all that personal stuff.
Crazy, right?
Oh, my God. So there's something that must have made you cringe when you saw the damn series.
I have not watched them yet.
You haven't watched it?
No.
Okay. Well, basically, let's say this, Billy. There's people that you've fired at this point because it's positioned as they were asking a little too many questions, and you would write them an email, hey, we appreciate your services and be on your way. And in the meantime, you're going to the other room. Hey, hit so-and-so up again. Just tell her we need the money. Tell her we need it. It's fine. Give her my word. You know what I mean? And it was like very obvious that the ship was already sinking. And I thought it was a woman, I could be wrong, was throwing money into the sinking ship as it was going down. It felt like.
That's great. Yeah, that's sad. Ugh.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening? No, okay, something positive. Something positive.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
The legacy of Billy McFarland, though.
Yeah.
You changed the laws regarding social media, I believe, right? Didn't Instagram change everything because of you, or am I giving you too much credit?
I've heard that. Obviously, like, understanding the law is not my strong suit, so I don't want to quote like what the FTC restrictions are right now. But yeah, we certainly made a crazy mark with the Orange Tile campaign, right? And that was seen by hundreds of millions of people in a very short period of time. And that was a fly-by-night operation. It's like, how can we find 400 of the most followed people in the world to just post this ominous orange tile? And the confusion of these people who just didn't seem to know each other really, really made it hit. And of course, they did not disclose it was ads because we weren't abiding by those kind of rules at that point, right? So definitely cost some.
Well, and then they said that so everyone nowadays, when you see on Instagram, it'll say paid partnership or sponsored ad or whatever. Billy was just basically getting influencers to pretend like they were a part of this thing, acting like that they were going to it, which, by the way, I don't think is unethical at that point. I don't know if there was rules. I mean, social media is still the wild, wild west right now. Yeah.
They were all going. So we paid maybe a dozen or so people to post, but the rest of them were paid in tickets. So they were all given 2 tickets to post.
So here's your VIP ticket to your cabana on a pile of shit and a tent that's going to blow away. I mean, obviously that wasn't the plan, right? But did you even overcommit that though, Billy? Did you know you weren't going to be able to accommodate that even when you offered it? Or
no, I truly, as silly as it sounds, I truly thought that we were going to make this work. I thought we had room, but we just didn't have room. And
gotcha. Yeah. And that was a lot to do with the venue change, though, correct?
The venue change certainly was part of it, but I probably would have fucked up Urban's Key somehow too at that point. I can't blame it solely on that. I was definitely the root issue, and everything else like a side problem.
So what was give us an idea what the ticket prices were? What were people paying to come to that? And that's another thing, by the way, I want to point out when this got blasted all over the internet. One of the things that I didn't like, all right, is fuck you, you spoiled little rich kids, you deserve this shit, because there was like a thought that these were like the ravers of Miami coming with their parents' money. Yeah. And I mean, is that true, Billy? Was it all just rich kids that parents give them money, or
no?
I don't know. I don't care who you are. If you're in a freaking tight ass plane getting off and you have to go sleep in mud, I don't give a shit. I mean, I feel bad for you.
Yeah. No, some of the tickets started reasonable at like $800 to $1,000, and if you think about it, that included round trip flights to Miami, housing, and food. So that's like not more expensive than your like mass market all inclusive package somewhere. And then obviously the higher end tickets were hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more. So we had a kind of a wide range, but there certainly were regular people who were wrong by this. And like, it's not fair for them to get shit because they want to win.
What did $150,000 get you, Billy? What was the premise for that?
Oh man, I mean, I was supposed to get you a villa, but we had some issues there.
And it was supposed to be like meet and greets with like just like next
a good villa or a backstage pass, and we sold tickets for $250,000, $500,000, so those kind of got you more of like the artist level access. But it was definitely a wider range. But there were a number of people with affordable packages for what they were supposed to be getting. So,
gotcha.
Dude, it's not fair for them to get shit at all.
Yeah. So the society coming down on screw all you guys. Yeah, but even though, man, you don't know who that is that paid $250,000 or $500,000 to. I mean, probably like, dude, if I paid $500,000 on something, it would be like something that's really important to me, dude. Like maybe like a skybox with my closest friends for a big birthday party at the Super Bowl or something like that. I mean, it's a big freaking deal. There'd be a lot of planning that goes into it. So yeah, maybe some of these guys are, princes, like, some sheiks or something like that. They just throw around money in Miami, but there might be other people that put down $250,000 that, this was a big thing. They're bringing their extended family. They're bringing their, so I'm going to go ahead and assume those people were not refunded, Billy.
The ticket side's actually a lot of unknowns right now. So basically, some of the money was held in escrow by like various ticket companies. So I'm sure that went back. I think a lot of people just like charge back their credit cards. So basically, I think the credit card companies are probably owed more than the individuals are right now. I just don't know full clarity. But I think like most people did chargebacks. So whatever was in escrow, went back that way, and the rest of it, the banks got hit. So I think I probably owe the credit card processors more than anybody else.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's interesting at least. And then that money because the money when it hit your accounts is already gone. The credit cards can't go back for that money because you probably.
No, we were spending it. We were tapped out.
You spent it immediately. I would imagine it was gone. It was gone before it happened, right? So if I get a $250,000 villa, I mean, how many bottles of Grey Goose do I get with that?
Whatever you need, sir. I'll give you the wire instructions. I'm just talking shit, but yeah.
All right. So it all comes crumbling down. All right. It's obvious you're being honest. Everyone, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see what's going on here. He was still selling these villas, still doing this shit when he pretty much Billy has a brain and he knew it wasn't going to happen, but didn't know else how to respond. He's 24 years old, and I don't know, maybe an act of God is going to. Did you even think of an act of God might save you, Billy, or are you just like waiting for?
I remember like debating whether I should pay the insurance bill, which would like, cover weather. All that shit. Like, that stuff can't happen. Like,
yeah,
you can use just like X tens of thousands of dollars elsewhere. Like, I know I should pay it, but I'll pay tomorrow. And it's like never been paying that bill. Like, oh.
Well, and then there was like. Wasn't there something too, man, where you got some haters before it even went down when they like figured out the location of the island, saying this is not some exotic island. Wasn't there like a cruise port next to it or some shit?
We had one guy charging for seats in a small propeller plane to do flyovers so people could take pictures of us in progress. He's like charging crazy prices for this 5-minute flight where you're just like circling around like 200 feet. So that people are taking like pictures, like, oh look, we got him. Like, it got wild. Like the guys in the air, the boats, like we're just getting bombarded from every angle.
Man, there is a scene in the documentary though, man, where you got these people that are like, you could tell it's like the women with their like Chanel bags, their Louboutins on, getting on some shitty airplane where they're smashed like this, and it's like there's okay, we're going to this Fyre Festival thing. This doesn't seem that luxurious, and it only got worse from there for them. Gosh, I mean, I look at that and be like, just get off the plane. Don't go. Don't go.
Just stop. Just stop.
So how does it end up unfolding for you, man? How does it end up unfolding? So criminal, civil lawsuits, how did this go?
Yeah, just so many. Like, I just don't even know like what is fully out there. I'm on probation right now, and I just put in travel requests for work internationally. And I was approved like by the normal process of probation in the court, and then found out at the last second that the IRS put a hold on my passport due to taxes from like 2016 through 2018.
Wow.
So,
well, makes sense.
I don't even know about how many roadblocks are in place at this point, and just like work through all of them. And like, yes, it's like doing as much as I can with the tax situation, but like there's just so many fucking issues, and like let that be the lesson to everybody else. It's the jail time is terrible, the fines are terrible, but it just like doesn't end, and it just like it's gonna be something that occupies like my time, my anxiety for so many years.
Yeah. Did you? What did they convict you of criminally?
Wire fraud and associate wire fraud related charges. But
did you do time? What was the sentence?
I did 6-year sentence and ended up serving just over 4 years total.
Really? I see that. I didn't know that. Holy shit, man. I mean, like, honestly, dude, that's a big fucking deal. Like, guys, listen, people that don't like Billy, dude, go spend 4 years in fucking jail. And I don't care if it was I don't care if it was a white collar prison. I'm assuming it probably was, Billy, but like, you're still in fucking jail, dude. That's your freedom.
Yeah. It's basically my second half of my 20s was in jail, and like deservedly so. I don't need sympathy for that, but it's like, it's real. And there are consequences when you do this. And it's like any entrepreneur who's listening, like, I get it. You feel like saving your startup is the most important thing in life. It's really not. And there are second chances. And if you fail, honestly, you will have that second chance. And fail by lying, you might not. You probably don't deserve it. So it's like, don't do that.
As you look back, do you ever ask yourself, okay, listen, we didn't even need this fucking festival. You had a cool thing with the app. This was just to promote the app, right?
Well, it makes no sense. Like, Magnesis was doing well. The app was going to be great. Like, why did we need to rush and do this festival? It just made zero sense. It was just so stupid.
Yeah. That sucks, man. That sucks. Well, hey, listen, man, leave us with this, dude. So, you're blasted all over TV, bro. All right. People know this. Okay. That you're known, like, people will tell you you're a liar, and you're still able to raise money for new endeavors right now. And how is this possible?
I think what's really interesting is I wouldn't, like, looking at myself 7 years ago, I would never have invested in myself then, and I would invest in myself now. It's like, I understand the consequence, I think, as well as anybody. And I also understand if I do anything wrong again, I'm going to jail forever, right?
So okay, so now the real last.
Yeah, it's like I'm scared of that. So if you don't believe I'm a better person now, which I've changed, and I think I've grown in a lot of ways. But like if you're saying fuck that, he's like full of shit. It's like, okay, well, I'm not stupid enough to go to jail for 60 years. So that's
exactly. Offense number 2.
Yes.
And was there any truth that they implied at the end of that documentary? They implied that you were behind a scam while you were waiting for trials with Fyre, that you were behind this bullshit ticket company selling tickets to experiences like the Academy Awards. That was all a big fraud. Is that true, Billy?
Yeah, I was certainly in over my head and just fucking around in the wrong way. And I just because I got arrested for the festival, I was on bail. I had that. I didn't learn from that point. I was still operating the same way. And it stuck to a bit, but it took me probably 18 months in jail to realize just how wrong my entire thought process had been.
Whoops. Yeah, whoops. And also don't trust camera crews that you hire. They will sell your footage.
I had two separate camera crews who were both paid for the footage, told me they delivered it to me, who kept backups and sold it. So do not trust the camera crews.
And that's the last lesson of it. So we have the social media lesson. Yeah. We have bite off more you could chew, and also contractually make sure that is your intellectual property that they can't sell.
Grab your memory cards at the end of every day. For real.
Holy shit, that's nuts. All right, Billy, leave our audience, man. We always ask everybody to do this. Billy McFarland recommends what movie to the 2000% raised audience?
Con Air.
Con Air.
I flew on Con Air 3 times, and the movie came on in jail after one of my Con Air flights, and I was obsessed. Cyrus and Myers is my favorite character. But yeah.
Awesome. Nicolas Cage, Steve Buscemi, that's a good one. Thanks, Billy. And that wraps up another episode of 2000% Raise. Thank you for listening. The best way to support our show is by leaving a rating or review on all platforms you listened on. And of course, by following, liking, or subscribing. Visit us at 2000percentraised.com or at John Cerasani on TikTok and Instagram. And of course, my YouTube channel at John Cerasani's 2000% Raised. Find all the ways to follow today's guests in our show notes. Thank you for being a part of our entrepreneurial journey.